Good morning, my Da Vinci's. Today we are going to talk about Middle Ages art. Middle Age art is art that comes after the Dark Ages and before the Renaissance. So it's between the 5th century and the 15th century. In particular, though, we're going to create and talk about castles of the Middle Ages. So this is a castle that I'm going to walk you guys through making step by step. When we're making this castle, I want us to think about some very specific things. So I want you to think about turrets or towers. I want you to think about battlements, which is this part right here. I want you to think about a drawbridge if you want to add a drawbridge. And I also want you to think about adding a moat if you want to add a moat. Now that's just some details into our castle that I want you to think about. So what are these things and why do we need them? Okay, why would we have a tower? If I was building a castle during the Middle Ages, because castles at that time period were kind of like a fortress. Your whole town could live within the fortress. You could have your whole family live within the fortress, but it was to keep you safe and protected. So if I'm going to have these towers, a good reason why I might have those towers is so that people couldn't get in, right? And I would have different levels of my towers. If you notice, I don't put a lot of windows down here at the bottom of my castle, probably because I wouldn't want anyone to be able to get into my castle, right? So that's going to be a protected barrier for my castle. Also, we talked about battlements. So right here, I have this little line here that is a battlement. I also have them at the tops of these two towers, as well as right here. What's a battlement used for? Well, battlement was where people could stand behind and they could help to defend or protect their castle. Why on earth would I need a moat? A moat also would help with defending my castle, right? If I have a moat, then the only way across is going to be by boat or to swim across to get to my castle. And then if I have a moat, of course, it would be a good idea for me to have a drawbridge so that if I need to come in and out of my castle, I have a way to come in and out of my castle. So I want you to think about adding all of those things. Also, it's really nice if you add some different flags, some different details like that to your castle, because that tells everyone whose castle this is. So we know that this is Miss W's castle because I've used a W. And then the second thing I want you guys to think about when you're building your castle. So we're going to put all this wonderful detail into our castle. That's our first thing. Our second thing that we're going to think about is we're going to think about space. So if I look at my castle, this area up front where my moat is and where my drawbridge is, that's my foreground. So that is everything that is in the front of my landscape. The middle ground, in this instance, the middle ground would be my castle because my castle sits a little bit further back from my drawbridge and my moat. So the middle ground of the middle ground of my landscape is going to be my castle. Now beyond, you can't see greatly here, but you can when I show you step by step the video. So beyond, we have some little trees back here and trees back here. And then I have my sky, and that is going to be my background. And that's going to be the furthest away from the viewer. So when we are looking at this, I want you to think of foreground, middle ground, and background for your castle. Now the next video is going to show you step by step on how to create your own castle. You guys know when Miss W is showing you in class different things that we can add to our castle, you can do the same things that Miss W does. Or you can draw your castle a little bit differently. Just because I have 4 towers on my castle does not mean that you need to put 4 towers on your castle. So you can put as many towers, you can put as many windows, you can add your detail however you want. You might want to have 2 doors to your castle. You might want to have 2 drawbridges for your castle. However you want to do it is fine. I want you guys to make sure that you are taking pictures of your art. And after you take a picture, I want you to send these to me. Send them to Miss W in my email. And then I will add these beautiful pictures to our website so everyone can see the awesome things that you're making at home. I can't wait to see your castles.